spoke yesterday about the learning of Hilchos Beis Habechira. So we said that the mitzvah, commandment of observing the mitzvah of Asa the Mikdash, building the Beis Midrash, is something that is constantly, not the way we are accustomed to understand, accustomed to learn that. It's only I'm going to that slow. It's always. There's an interesting Lashon of the Chaim HaKadosh. Chaim says the Lashon. This is a mitzvah Kalazvani. It says Lashon Afilu B'Golgis, even in time of Golgis. And in today's Parsha, at the beginning of Parshas Hilchos, it says all the mitzvahs a person is supposed to be Mekayim, B'Machshava, Dibur U'Maisa. So, like for instance, Karbonis, there's the Maisa Korban, and then there's the Dibur, which is called the Eisik B'Teiris Eilu, by learning the halachas of the Korban. That is, we are observing it in speech, and then there is the Kavanah, Machshava, that is Tefillah, Tefillah Bakum Kavanah Stikna. So, all mitzvahs has to take, surround the person in every aspect, in thought, speech, and action. So here it's also the thought, speech, and action, which is we are building the Beis Hamikdash, whether it's a Maaseh, or it's a Dibur, or it's a Machshava. But here, the way that it says, it's not only, it's considered that way we're actually building the Beis Hamikdash. Now, as a continuation of this, we know we have here, the Rebbe instituted, we learn the Psukim Yecheskel, we learn Masechta Midas, and we learn how to do Beis Hamikdash. Now, the Psukim Yecheskel, you know what this is? This is where the Rambam says, you learned this, right in the halacha in the beginning of the first page. He says, the Psukim Yecheskel are speaking about the Beis Hamikdash HaShlishi. I say the words of the Rambam. He says, the binyan, the building that Shlomo built, that says in law. The building which is going to be Losid Lavi, the third Beis Hamikdash, even though that it says in Yecheskel, Einim Afurish Mvueh, it's not clear, it's not totally elaborated. In other words, we don't really understand exactly how to build Yecheskel. Now, how did the people in the second temple, the second Beis Habechira, how did they build it? So he says, Anshe B'Haysheni K'Shebanu B'Me'ezre Banu K'Binu Shleima U'Me'in Advar Mafrash Yecheskel. The people of B'Haysheni went, then they built the second Beis Hamikdash. They built it like the building of the first Beis Hamikdash, and similar to the things that are clear in Yecheskel. That is Yecheskel. Masechta Midas is saying how the Beis Hamikdash Hasheni was built. So the commentary, one of the main commentaries on Mishnayos, is the Tesis Yontif. So the Tesis Yontif brings like this. The Rambam says, what is the Pirush Mishnayos? We have, just like we have the halachas of the Rambam, we have the commentary of the Rambam on the Mishnayos. So the Rambam says like this: what is Masechta Midas all about? Ein Beit Inyan Acher. There's nothing. Usually Mishnayos is halacha. What we're supposed to do, what we're not supposed to do. It says Masechta Midas. It's telling us. It's a sipur. It's telling us Shu Zeicher Midas Hamikdash. Just telling us how the building of the Beis Hamikdash, the form and the measurements, how it looked, and the building of it, what is the purpose, what are we learning about? The Mishnah is halacha. What is the advantage? What are we getting from it? When the Mashiach comes, we're going to have to build a Beis Hamikdash. We are supposed to learn and take it out from Masechta Midas, because all was done with Ruach HaKodesh. Hakol b'ksav b'yad Hashem ala yizkir. Hakol b'ksav b'yad Hashem ala yizkir is a pasuk that Dor Yadol said that says the building of the Beis Hamikdash, which is he's referring to the first Beis Hamikdash. How did Shlomo? How did he give over? There was a specific Megillah, so to say, that David HaMelech got. This was written down by Ruach HaKodesh, by prophecy, how it should be done. So you should know that Masechta Midas, that the building of the Bayis Sheni, which is connected to the Ruach HaKodesh. So the commentator said this, Yonah says, what is the Rambam saying here? The Bayis, the Beis Midrash L'noshim that we're going to build is not the same as the second Beis Midrash. Midas is speaking about the second Beis Midrash. As we just learned, that the Rambam says that Binyan Ha'osid, even though it says in Yecheskel, it's not clear, and the people of Bayis Sheni built it the way Binyan Shleimim ain't advarim. So what do we have to do with the Masechta Midas that we're learning? This is not how the Bayis HaShlishi is supposed to be. So he says like this. Even nevertheless, there is an inyan, there is something that we're getting from doing Masechta Midas. It says like this. The Protim, the Menegela Protim, in these details that the Bayis Shlishi, the Bayis Shlishi is going to be similar to the second Beis Hamikdash and the first Beis Hamikdash. It says even though that in the Bayis Shlishi there is changes compared to the second Beis Hamikdash, so he says a very interesting line. Ki Yegala HaKadosh Baruch Hu Eineinu. The Eibishter is going to open up our eyes, and we are going to stand. We are Lohav Nasasu. We are going to understand what is concealed now in the Cheskel, and we're going to build like that. So what do we need? So in other words, when the Beis Hamikdash HaShlishi is going to be built, we're going to take the Psukim Yecheskel, which is referring to how the Beis Hamikdash HaShlishi is supposed to be built, and we're going to understand what it says there. So what do we need the story of Bayis Sheni and Masechta Midas? Because most of it is built in Yisodim and the Tavnis Hashem, which the Eibishter said to them. So this is what the Rambam says, so there is the things that they build the Bayis Sheni, since there is many parts that they build, just like the Bayis Rishon, and this is Baruch HaKodesh. The Bayis Rishon, we never explained this like this. Nevertheless, we're saying there's many changes going to be in the Bayis, in the third Beis Hamikdash. And we need that the Eibishter is going to open up our eyes, and we're going to learn that the Yecheskel, we're going to understand what it means. So what do we care about the second Beis Hamikdash, how it looks? Masechta Midas. Mitzvahs, the mitzvah of Osu Mikdash, the mitzvah of observing, building a Beis Hamikdash, this is something constantly. That's what we're learning, right? That's not something only when the time of the Beis Hamikdash was built. Now we have this mitzvah of building the Beis Midrash. So now, it's not only because what are we learning of, because we can't build it, at least let's learn about it. We are supposed to do everything that we can that the Beis Hamikdash should be ready, prepared to be built. And by doing this, it's considered that the Beis Hamikdash is being built. This is the Lashon Midrash. Now, this is what we're gonna need, that the Eibishter is going to open up our eyes, and we're going to understand what is the idea of Yecheskel. Or there's another expression in Gemara that says, Gemara asks many questions. How are we going to do? How are we going to address the Kei and How are we going to do this? So the Gemara says, when we're going to build the Beis Hamikdash HaShlishi, Meish V'Hani will be with us, and they're going to show us what to do. That doesn't take away anything from the Asik Liba Beis Hamikdash. It's just an extra addition what it's going to be. So now, how do we build the Beis Hamikdash now? What do you know? So we're learning Midas, we're learning Yecheskel, we're learning Midas, we're learning Beis Hamikdash, which what we could understand. And by this is considered being Beis Hamikdash. Now when the Eibishter is going to open up our eyes later, when the Beis Hamikdash is going to be built, that is an extra addition. What is the point here? It goes like this. You know, who's going to build the Beis Hamikdash HaShlishi? So there's two opinions. We have the Rambam constantly says Mashiach is going to build it. It's going to be built by the Odom, Mashiach is going to build it. And this is in the Yerushalmi it says, in the Groshim it says, and then we know there's a couple of places in Rashi and Tosfos that says that the Beis Hamikdash HaShlishi Yichlole v'Yored L'Shamayim. It's going to be revealed and going to come from above. Because the Pasuk says, Mikdash ad mekeni yedecha. That means that the Mikdash of Beis Hamikdash HaShlishi is going to come down from Shemayim. The Eibishter is going to build it. How do we reconcile both opinions? So there's many ways. One way is when we are learning Masechta Midas, which this is the Bayis Hashem. And this is what we are going to learn. We're going to build it according to what the Beis Hamikdash Hasheni is, what says in the Sefer Mitzvahs. Then there's the things that are not clear, which is we don't know how the Beis Hamikdash Hasheni is going to be. This is going to come Mishamayim. So it's going to have both. The part that we know, the part that we understand, the part we know, we're going to build. The parts that we do not know, the parts we don't understand, that is going to come from above. In sort of say, more in Ruchnistic terminology, we would say like this. There's the Bayis Shalamato and the Beis Hamikdash Shalamato. You know, there it says, Mikdash, on this pasuk it says, Beis Hamikdash Shalamaylo is Mechuf connected to Beis Hamikdash Shalamato. There's the Beis Hamikdash here down below, and then there's the, let's say, the spiritual Beis Hamikdash, which is above. So the binyan habayis lamata, the binyan habayis down here, that is going to be through people. That's going to be through Mashiach. And he's going to know what Einim Afurishim Avuah. He's going to know, understand what it says in Chesed. Then in this Beis Hamikdash is going to come down this spiritual Beis Hamikdash from above. It says, look at the Mizbeach, it says like this. When we brought a sacrifice, it says there was an Eish Shalamayla, a fire from above that came down and consumed this korban. So it says in Gemara, it says, even though even though the fire comes down from above and that burns and that consumes the korban, it's a mitzvah that we also have to learn. So this is the same idea as here also. There is the part of the Beis Hamikdash that we are building, and then there's the part of the Beis Hamikdash which is coming from above. These are the two opinions. The Rambam says that Mashiach is going to build the Beis Hamikdash. In the Zayir Midrashim it says it's going to become revealed, it's going to come down from above. Why is it? The Rambam is a Sefer of Allah. A Sefer of Allah means to say, Al Pi Halacha, who is obligated to build the Beis Hamikdash? It's a mitzvah. A mitzvah, who's supposed to do the mitzvah? Bnei Yisrael is supposed to do the mitzvah. Therefore, which part of the Beis Hamikdash is the Rambam speaking about? This part of the Beis Hamikdash that's going to be built Bnei Yisrael. It's a mitzvah to build the Beis Hamikdash. A mitzvah is not what the Eibishter does. A mitzvah what we are supposed to do. So the Rambam says a couple of times that Mashiach is going to build the Beis Hamikdash, which Bnei Yisrael are going to observe the mitzvah. Now, when we're speaking about these things in the Beis Hamikdash, which is going to be Bnei Shemayim, this has nothing to do on our chiyuv. This has nothing to do to our what we are supposed to do. That's something that's coming to the Eibishter. The Medrash and Zayir, which they say it's going to come to Shemayim, they're speaking about the shleimus, the fulfillment of the Beis Hamikdash Hashlishi. What is the whole purpose of Beis Hamikdash Hashlishi? That is going to be the dwelling place of the Eibishter. And that is going to be through the Beis Hamikdash, which is coming from above, and is going to come down in the Beis Hamikdash here down here. That's called, in the Lashon of Zayir, it's called, both the first two binyanim, Bayis Rishon and Bayis Sheni, are binyanim de Banash, people world. It's Bnei Yisrael world. The Beis Hamikdash Hashlishi is called binyanim de Kutshabichu. Therefore, they are emphasizing that it's going to come Midei Shemayim. So, what is going to happen to us? Why is we having the part that's coming from above? It's not because we are missing something. We are doing everything that we could. We are doing everything that is we are obligated to do. And what is the mitzvah on us? That is to Bnei Yisrael to Mashiach. That is the Maisa Habinyan, the actual building. We are doing it total completeness. There's nothing missing. Then there's the addition of it, which is coming B'Shamayim, which is an extra part. Now, let's make the full circle now. What are we learning? I'm learning Beis Hamikdash. I'm learning about the halachas of Beis Hamikdash, how it's built and so on. So the Eibishter says, "Ani ma'ila aleim ki'ilei meiskim bebinyan habayis." Or there's another expression, "Hey, vatim eiskim usaskim bei." Since you are involved, I'm considering it as if you are building it. When is the complete Beis Hamikdash? When is the proper complete Beis Hamikdash? Obviously, what's going to be revealed from above, from the Shemayim. And that causes, what causes the nitzchis of the Beis Hamikdash? What causes that we say in the Beis Hamikdash, that we said, what is the difference? The first two Batim Mikdashim that the Zayah says, you know why they were destroyed? Because they were man-made. Bnei Yisrael made. The third Beis Hamikdash is going to be the building, then it's not going to be made for man, it's the Eibush that's building it. And therefore it's going to be nitzchi, it's going to be eternal. Man, something that a person does, is not a nitzchi. So we are being mekayim the mitzvah of binyan Beis Hamikdash by learning about the Beis Hamikdash, which we are learning about the Beis Hamikdash. This is the chiyuv in the mitzvah that we are doing. This is what we are learning in Midas and Beis Habechira, what we know. This is the part of the Beis Hamikdash that is built by people. Now, just like we say the shleimus, the completeness of the Beis Midrash L'noshim, when is it going to be? When it's going to be revealed from above. The same thing is when we are learning about the Beis Hamikdash, every detail, and which is we are building the Beis Hamikdash. Then there's we sing Ma'ila ani aleichem kilat Beis Midrash. There's what the Eibishter is doing. In other words, in the building of the Beis Midrash now that we are learning, there's both parts here. There's what we are doing, the action of the Yisrael doing, and then there's Ma'ila ani aleichem, I am considering. What does it mean, I am considering? This is the higher level of Beis Hamikdash, which is going to be revealed from above. So just like it was in Love, just like in the third Beis Hamikdash, we have the two parts. We have what the Yisrael are building, and then what it's coming down from above. The same thing is in our learning about the Beis Hamikdash, which we are, by us learning the halachos, we are building the Beis Hamikdash. Then there's what is coming down in the building, in the Beis Hamikdash that we are building. What the Eibishter is doing. What is the Eibishter doing? In this Beis Hamikdash that we are learning about, that we are building, there's this higher level, which is the Minyan, the Kuchabricha, the building of the Eibishter, is going to come down here. So this gives a greater and a stronger emphasis on the whole idea, the whole concept of us learning about the Beis Hamikdash. That is this part. Now, we started yesterday also mentioning about the difference of the Rambam in Hilchos Beis Habechira and the Rambam in Sicha. The Rambam in the Hilchos Beis Habechira speaks about, we learn out the building of the Beis Hamikdash, we learn out from the Pasuk, V'asu l'mikdash. And as we mentioned, that this V'asu l'mikdash starts from the Mishkan and it follows through all the Batim Mikdashes. So we mentioned that what's the point here? Because according to the Rambam, V'asu l'mikdash is the mitzvah of building the Beis Hamikdash. It didn't start when we came to Yerushalayim. It started in the Midbar, and it goes through all the generations, and always we have this mitzvah. Now, we are learning about the Beis Hamikdash. In Hilchos Melachim, the Rambam begins, which is the last chapter, the last part, the halachos and Rambam in the Sicha. He says, it starts like this, he says, Sholish mitzvahs nitztavi Yisroel v'shas k'misos ha'oretz. 3 mitzvahs the Yisroel were commanded when they came in. And the third thing is the Binyan Beis Habechira, the Shit L'Sidush. So the obvious question is always, why is the Rambam changing? Here he says the Lashon V'asu l'mikdash, the pasuk that speaks about the Mishnah. There he brings the pasuk the Shit L'Sidush v'asu sham. I'm not going to go into the whole. It's a long discussion. And as I said, there is this whole idea. It says like this. There's 3 things that the Yisrael were commanded when they went into Yisrael: to set up a king, to build a Beis Habechira, and to destroy a mold. And look, we learn it out each one from a different pasuk. And the pasuk which the Midrash brings is the pasuk V'asu l'mikdash. The Rambam brings another pasuk. And as we mentioned yesterday, the Smak brings the pasuk. Really, we have 3 psukim. We have V'asu l'mikdash v'shach kandi l'sefer, which says in Pashas Truma, which is referring to the Mishkan and all the Batim Mikdashes. We have the pasuk the Sicha Nishidushu v'asu shama, which is a question on what it goes, if it goes on the Beis Habechira or it goes on Shilei and so on. And then we have the pasuk V'hoya Amokam Ashrifcha Hashem L'Shakim Shom Shom Tavir. He has 3 psukim.
So the third one is the Beis Habechira and Yerushalayim?
Beis Midrash L'noshim Ubanos. There's another question to ask. What does it mean when we say Sholish mitzvahs nitztavi b'nei Yisrael? 3 mitzvahs. So there's an obvious question when the Gemara says, the Mishnah says, we have 3 things here are 4 things. So there's a famous question in what it says, Minyan Olam, I can't count. There's 3 commandments here. Okay, you say you're supposed to build a, you're supposed to set up a kingdom, you're supposed to destroy a mole, you're supposed to build a Beis Midrash. I have to say 3. What's the point is? What's the Minyan Olam? What do I have to count before? When I say there's 49 things, because okay, you get mixed up. You make sure they have all of it. When you're saying 3 or 4, what's the point of counting? Huh?
They're connected to the calendar.
Very good, very good. That's the point. Right? What do you mean they're connected? So we have 3 ways how to look at it: the connection and the dependence on one another. Which is, when we say one depends on the other, there's a couple of ways to say it. There is, it depends, the order is connected. In other words, I have to do the first one, and then the second one, and then the third one. Then there's the chiyuv gabre, how you have to do it, is one after the other, and then there's what's connected to the chefetz. In other words, when do we have to destroy a molech? You have to have a king before. It's not only the order that is being done. First you have to set up a kingdom, and then you destroy a molech, and then you build a Beis Midrash. When is it considered that when is it a mitzvah, when is it a proper mitzvah of destroying a molech? When you have a king set up before it. When is it a proper mitzvah of building a Beis Midrash? When before that you have a king, and after that you have the destruction of a molech. That is on one hand, and the same thing is on the other side saying this. In other words, when is the completion of kingship? When you are, after that you're also destroying a molech. And after that, you're building Beis Habechira. Then is the shleimus, then is the completion of the kingship. And the same thing is the completion of Beis Habechira, of destroying a molech. It's not only, in other words, it's not only the order in time, that first this has to be done, set up a king, and then destroying a molech, and then building a Beis Habechira. It's the, we'll say in the Lashon of Chefetz, that means, when is it considered, when are you really observing and doing, when is there a proper Beis Hamikdash? When before that we had a king, and then you destroyed a molech. Then the Beis Hamikdash is a proper Beis Hamikdash. And on the other hand also, when is the kingship of David, which the real kingship is? Okay, here it was kingship of Shaul. When is real kingship really complete? When he destroys a molech and he builds the Beis Habechira. It's a deep concept here, which one do you mean? One depends on the other. It means one makes the other complete. When is the, we'll say in maybe words like this, what does it mean, kingship? What does it mean, a melech? You have a king, why there's a mitzvah in the Torah, same as the melech. Why did when the Yisrael asked for a king by Shaul, the Eibishter was very not happy? Because they didn't ask for the right reason. A king is not for a king just like by Kolum is saying, by not Jews, in order that it shouldn't be one shouldn't kill each other, should have a setup of rules. But kingship, the idea of kingship is to bring down the kingship of Hashem. Since the king, the Melech Yisrael, is Baruch Eibishter, so he brings down Malchus Shemayim, Yiras Hashem, to Bnei Yisrael. That's why they would have. So this idea of bringing down the kingship, the Malchus Shemayim, the Yiras Hashem, which this is the whole concept of Seitas Malach Melech, we take the Eibush God's kingdom. This is, when is the completion of this? When destroying a molech, and obviously we know what it means. Because what does it say about molech? Ein Hashem Sholem, Ein HaKisa Sholem, Hashem Roch Zayah Sholem Molech. The whole concept of a molech is the Heipech fighting Malchus Shemayim. Ein Hashem Sholem, Ein HaKisa Sholem. The name of the Eibush is not complete, and the throne of the Eibush is not complete. What do you mean the throne is not complete? What do you mean the name of the Eibush is not complete? That means the revelation of godliness. Which part of the revelation of godliness? This idea of being Kabbalah Sil Malchus Shemayim, which this is what Amalek was going against. This is what Amalek negated. This is the whole idea behind Amalek. So the kingship, the king, when is the completion of the king? When not only when he had the king set up, when he destroys Amalek, and when is it really complete? Building Beis Hamikdash, which is bringing down the Shkina here Lamato. and we have the revelation of godliness, which then we are really going to the Shleim. So so that is on one hand. So we have it on both sides of those. As I said, not only in the time when it's being done, not only in the Chiyuv Gavre, when the person, but this is connected to the Cheftzit, to the kingship, destroying of Amalek and Beis Habechira. So according to this, we understand, since we constantly were learning that according to the opinion of the Rambam, when did it start the building of the Beis Hamikdash? When did it start the observing the Beis Hamikdash? From the Mishkan. So we have to understand, even though the Rambam is speaking there in Hilchos Beis which is this is the halacha of kingship. It's not the halachas of Beis Hamikdash. It's not the halachas of destroying Amalek. It's the halachas of kingship. It's the halachas of Melech. There he says b'shleishim mitzvahs. But here the Rambam doesn't say Hilchos Beis Habechira because here he's speaking about the building of the Beis Hamikdash. But since we understand, we know that the completion of the Beis Hamikdash, and what is the proper Beis Hamikdash, is after we have a king and after we destroy Amalek. So as we mentioned yesterday already, this began from the first Mishkan that Moshe built. And we mentioned, the Rambam says, Moshe Rabbeinu Melech. Moshe Rabbeinu was considered a king. And Yeshua was the one that destroyed Amalek, went to Muhammad Amalek. After that, so the Beis Hamikdash, also not only the Beis Hamikdash Ashlishi, Beis Hamikdash Yerushalayim, but the first Mishkan also had, in a sense, this idea that it came after a king and after destroying Amalek. And according to this gives a stronger understanding in the whole concept, the whole idea what the Rambam says in the first halachas. The Rambam says, the first halacha he says, we're supposed to build a Beis Hamikdash for Kabbanis, and it says in the Torah already, the Mishkan that Moshe made, it was only temporary, as we learned clearly. Then he says the second halacha. When they came into Eretz Yisrael, they set up the Mishkan in Galgal, 14 years that they conquered and divided. Then they came to Shilei, and they built a Bayis Shel Avonim, a house of stones. And they put up on top of it, they put the Urias, which was in the Mishkan. It didn't have a roof. And that Beis Hamikdash, that Mishkan stood 369 years. When Eli died, it was destroyed. Then they came to Nev, and they built a Mikdash. When Shmuel died, it was destroyed. Then they came to Givon, and they also built a Mikdash. And from Givon, they came to Beis Yiromim, and Yemei Nevi Givon was 57 years. And then the third halacha says, from when the Mikdash was built in Yerushalayim, all the other places were negated. You can't build no more a house for Hashem and bring karbonis in no other place. And there's for generations, from now on, there's only the Beis Hamikdash in Yerushalayim and Har HaMoriah, and it brings the pasuk, David Zeu Beis Hashem Elokim, V'zeh Mizbech Leil Yisrael, Zeh Yisrael Chasei. So we mentioned yesterday already, the Rambam is not a sefer, the Rambam is not a history sefer. The Rambam doesn't give the history, how Mishkan started till the end. That's not the Rambam. So he's really saying here the point that the observance of Asal Mikdash, when it began, it began from the Mishkan, and it continued till the Beis Hamikdash, which was built in Yerushalayim, and that's the completion. But since we know that all three mitzvahs are connected, so why Lamashal was saying, what each time when they went to the Mishkan, we know already. There's the Melech, Moshe Rabbeinu was the Melech, and Yeshua destroyed Amalek. Then when they went over the Yarden, it was a temporary. That building only stood Arba Eser Shana. Why? Because we didn't have, even though Yeshua was considered a Melech, there was Muhammad, but it wasn't the completion of the Milchemes Amalek. So there, that was said. What is it saying? And Midu HaMishkan Bagalgal. They just set up the Mishkan. It's not a real Beis Hamikdash. When they came to Shilei, there they built already a Bayis Shel Avonim, a Bayis of stones, and it stood many years because there was already a great. There we had already show, and we had already Achlas Shadar Amalek. Really, it's the beginning of that time. So that Beis Hamikdash was already a stronger and a more complete Beis Hamikdash because the Malchus and the Amalek were more, and therefore we understand coming to the Beis Hamikdash Yerushalayim, which then it was totally a Melech, David. There you see, it brings the Pesukim. Vayemer David Zeh Beis Hashem Elokim Zeh Mizbeach V'Nishim HaNeshleim. There is already the true idea of kingship, which is Malchus Beis David, and it was after Vayeh Niach Leil Shaviv, and it was already we would already destroy them all complete. That was the Shleimus Nik of Beis Hamikdash. So we see here that both Sai Hilchos Beis Habechira, and Sai Hilchos Melachim, one common and one helps the other. It's not the Rambam's there saying something which has nothing to do with what we're learning. That completes the way we understand Hilchos Beis Habechira. What we learn in Hilchos Melachim, it completes the Hilchos Beis Habechira, that the sequence of the Beis Hamikdash each time was a more stronger Beis Hamikdash. Now this is also connected, the very interesting point we're going to have here. You know, it says, you're going to learn a Beis Habechira later, it says like this. Osur lo'odom sheyaseh bayis tabnis heichel, achsader tabnis ulam chotzer keneged azor. A person now is not allowed to build Beis Hamikdash. He's not allowed to build in the form of Beis Hamikdash, and he heichel and azora. He's not allowed to build. We learn it out from our pasuk. What are we not allowed to do? That's it's the 7th chapter, Halacha Yud. What do we learn here? According to the Rambam, opinion of the Rambam, all the Beit Mikdashes have really it's not temporary. They all have a din of Mikdash, and we see in the next halacha in Perek Aleph, look in Perek Aleph, which is very important. Halacha Hey, Elohein Advarim Shein Iker B'Binyan Habayis. These are the things that are the main parts in the building of the Beis Mikdash. Eisem Bekedesh, we make a face of Kedesh. Bekedesh HaKadoshim. V'yeh lifnei HaKedesh mokem echad one nikrullo. V'shloshtu nikroim heichel. There's 3 parts in the inside of the Beis Mikdash, in the chambers. Ve'esim mechitza acheres sov laheichel v'chekim imenu. There is, we make a mechitza around it. Ke'ein kale achot shoy b'midbar. Similar to the curtains which was in the midbar. What do we see here in this halacha? In this Rambam, even though the Beis Hamikdash, which is built in Yerushalayim, was a permanent dwelling place. It wasn't a mishkan that we just set up with boards. It was a totally different. It wasn't a binyan. It was just like it was called ve'eye mishalach be'eyel mishkan. It was like a temporary thing. This is a permanent building. It was totally different. But nevertheless, the main points, what the Mikdash is, what a Mishkan is, was in Beis Hamikdash also. Therefore, he compares it, even though it was different, and he compares it. So what do we have here? It's going to be important for us later also. So if we say, are we allowed to build now? We're not allowed to build. The simple words of the Rambam, we're not allowed to build bayis tabnis heichel. Are we allowed to build a form of the Mishkan exactly now? We do make, when we're with kids, we learn in order to know.
It's not exact.
Huh?
We don't make the size.
Oh, so.
Are you allowed to make the scale?
What?
Are we allowed to make it to scale?
Scale.
Like proportion, the same proportions?
No, we shouldn't make it. Oh, so most opinions is that this issur that the Gemara says we're not allowed to build in the form of the Altasi Kedmush Shimshai, the Rambam says in Perek Zayin, Halacha Yud. Here he doesn't say the Lashon. Is in the time of the Beis Hamikdash, in the time of the Mishkan, we weren't allowed to build the form of Mishkan. In the time of Galgo, we're not supposed to build. In the time of Shili, we're not supposed to build. But once it was destroyed, it's not a part. Now the Isser is only the way the Beis Hamikdash was built in Yerushalayim. Because what is the point here you're not allowed to do? What are you not allowed to do? It's similar, I don't want to go into the whole Arichis. You know, we're not allowed to make a
Candelabra of 7.
candelabra of 7. I'm going to say something else also. You're not allowed to make a sun and a moon. You know, when they made the emblem of Tzivus Hashem, and they made the form of a sun and a moon, the Rebbe said to take it off. It's not so partial to making the moose of Hashem Shviyareh, because what's it? Atasikit mus shimshai shimsham shulufonei. You cannot make something which is my servants, so there's the servants which is above, and there's the servants which is here. The Beis Hamikdash is considered this is the place of service of Hashem. So the way the other opinions hold, so when is the binyan? When is this considered the binyan of the Eibishter? Every time when this Beis Hamikdash is what's the Mishkan, if you give an Ashili, Beis Hamikdash Ashlish is something else. Beis Hamikdash in Yerushalayim is now. But according to what we say now, that that all the Batim Mikdashes are really true Batim from the Mishkanan, and we observed it, and not only we observed it, and all the details, also this part, that the three mitzvahs which is connected to one another, so the mitzvah, all the Batim Mikdashes are considered the most shimshai for the Eibishter. L'moshel, are we allowed to make now a form of the Beis Rishon? So many opinions says we're not allowed.
You're not even on paper?
No. We're saying a building. We're saying the building. Sure. The one who says that he wants to bring proof that now we are permitted, he says like this: we can't say that now we are not allowed to make it the form of all the other binyanim, because otherwise the sages will tell us, Chazal will tell us, what is the tzura of the Mishkan Shilei, to know exactly how to make it, to know that what we're not allowed to make. But this itself, that it doesn't say clear what is the form and what is the measurements of Mishkan Shilei and so on. So we understand from this that this is not ma'akev. In other words, we are not allowed to make, so the exact form, we don't know exactly how, what's the measurements. That means we're not allowed to make even we don't know exact measurements. What is the point here? The Gemara says like this. What happened to the Elmeid? The Gemara says that the Maisim of David and the Maisim of Moshe are nitzchis. The Mishkan was not destroyed. What happened to it? The Elmeid, which this is the Mishkan that Moshe made, was nignas. It was hidden. The Gemara says, Atze shitim eindim. It says, Sicha kroshim la-mishkan atze shitim eindim. So we learn out what means eindim. Eindim le'elam olam. It's constantly there. It's constantly standing. It's always there. So from this, the Rebbe brings proof that this is considered Dumush Shimshai Shimsham Shulafonov. This is considered Maina Shamoshim, which is Meshamshim for me. There's an expression about Teisves, as we said, we're not allowed to make a Tzuris Meneder. We're not allowed to make potatoes. We're allowed, the Pasuk says, Isha Sheyirkach Kameyu, you're not allowed to make the some potatoes. We learn out, it says, Befedish Pasuk, you're not allowed to make. So there's the Russian of Baal Teisves is, Fishe'ein derech lishtamish b'sharvit shomelech. You do not use the cane. The cane of a king, a person doesn't use. It's designated only for something that is used for the king. Ordinary person doesn't use. So k'teiris, receptive from Shabbat, right? So therefore k'teiris we're not allowed to make. And this Baal Teis says the same idea. Because you do not make, there's what the king is made, it's used by the king. An ordinary person does not use things for the king. So therefore, all these Batim Mikdash, so to say, we are not allowed to do because this is the Tavnis and this is the Sharvite Shomelech, which we're not allowed to do. the Rebbe goes into a deeper discussion here. We mentioned that all three mitzvahs are connected to each other.
Is gathering the Jewish people together to answer Eretz Yisrael?
I just want to make a point. I just want to make an interesting observation here. As a continuation of this, 770, the building of 770, is the one that the Rebbe said. The Rebbe said to make a replica. The first one the Rebbe said is to build in Kfar Chabad 770. It wasn't something that Chassidim on their own did. Later, it started making all over the world. There was a saying that they say that the Rebbe said. I remember that the Rebbe said to Letsky that we already mentioned him about the making of 770, because there will come a time that we will we'll want to remember. So we'll remember exactly Lashon. So Mele we can reingehen und der Monne Sachen umwarmen. In other words, to remember all the things about the Rebbe. Remember, I mean, it's hard to say, because the Rebbe said later it's not only remembering the Rebbe's here and so on, but going into so the Rebbe did say to build 770, to build 770 around.
So that we should remember
And
so that we should remember what it looked like.
So not remember, we should be going in 770 to remember the Rebbe's Fabrengen, the Rebbe 770, that the Rebbe, not to remember what happened 20 years ago, but to remember that their 770 is still here now. The Rebbe is still in 770. The Rebbe is still paying whatever he's paying. Okay. So we have. Therefore, I don't want to. I don't know. When it was written then, in other words, according to this, that we're not supposed to make a Tamuz, but here the Rebbe said to make a Tamuz. The only thing that we could say is, I don't know, that it's not exact measurements. No, it's not exact measurements. It's huge. It's a seven like off and about three sides. It's not exactly measurements. It's general. By some it's mainly the outside. By some it's the inside is very similar. The Moshe 770 and Chabad. A lot of times say you could come to the Rebbe's room and write a picnic. So that is that room which is not used, which is similar. It's not exactly.
Said that this is like the Beis Midrash in the exile, but it's not the same as the Beis Midrash. So I don't see what the problem is to be.
My observation is not about the Beis Midrash, it's about this thing. The Tassim of Shimshai, since this was Shabbat Shemelech, this is Shabbat Shemelech, this is the place of the Rebbe. So how is it? So I'm saying, since the Rebbe said to us, it's connected to 770. The Rebbe said something else. This is not gonna. The Rebbe said that the Rebbe said that the Rebbe could pay, the Rebbe could accomplish that the Beis Midrash Ashlishi should come down here in 770.
When it comes to pointing the king,
what?
We know it's a mitzvah to gather, like Mashiach's going to gather Jewish people to Eretz Yisrael, but it also says we're supposed to appoint the king. So, Hashem chooses the king, but we have to accept it.
It was the suggestion that we should do the new Yisrael.
I don't suggest he gave a directive.
What's going on anyway?
He gave a directive. It's not that somebody said they wanted to do it. The Rebbe
gave the Rebbe was started with the story. The Rebbe said to do they should be the building of the Hilchos Beis Habechira, and then they built it up in like no time. It was like in a matter of a couple of weeks. It was touching. That was touching.